All right, so let's get this retrospective going. So if it seems that this video is a little shorter than normal, not in like length, but as far as height, is because this hotel I checked into, it's not your traditional hotel. There's like a beanbag chair right here, and I'm sitting on like a little thing. There's a little like rectangular shaped thing, but there's not like a lot of room there. I have some of my stuff set up there for the workshop later. So I guess I'll be doing these from the beanbag chair. And yeah, but as far as length of the video, this may be one of the longest ones because quite a lot has happened. All right, so let's get into it. Hopefully you remember this fondly, future me. And all right, so retrospective for March 30th, which was a Wednesday. All right, it was a travel day. I went from Paris to Amsterdam. Now, I got to the train station pretty early in anticipation of having to check in and or go through long lines like how I did coming into Paris. Yeah, there's none of that. I got to the so the reason was because, and shouts to Paul, manager, told me like, oh yeah, I mean, you're traveling within the EU, you don't have to do all like the custom stuff anymore. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So yeah, so what happened was I got to the station, waited like 20 minutes before the train was supposed to leave. That's when they tell you like which train track you're supposed to go to. And so I lined up, got my ticket scanned, and got on the train. Now, this is where yeah. As I was getting settled, like into my seat, a person approached me about switching seats with them so that they could sit with their friend. And this is where the trip went downhill. My new seating had like 3 people already there, and 2 kept taking off their shoes and just hanging out with their bare feet, just chilling. Great. Turns out, at least I think so, that my original seat may have had like the seat next to me open. So I would have had more room to do some more work, which would have greatly helped me and improved my traveling situation. We'll get into that. So, speaking of work, I was able to do a quick walkthrough of my presentation that I got coming up with my coworkers, and while on the train, because there was like free Wi-Fi, and it worked pretty well. I ran into some technical difficulties that would have been easier to handle if I had more room, you know what I mean? And if I was in my original seat, there wouldn't have been a person behind me telling me to be quiet, which, I mean, it's a train and not a library. And if you want to control like what you hear, put on headphones, you know what I'm saying? But I was towards the end of the meeting anyway, so it's fine. Now, if I had more room, I definitely wouldn't have cut my finger trying to put my laptop back in my bag. And like I cut it to the point where it was bleeding pretty bad. And so like here's the towel. Here's my towel. And let me see, you can see that. So yeah, all those like red stains was me trying to prevent myself from like bleeding out. And yeah. And this was pretty early into the trip, so for a long time I had to wrap my finger in that towel. So yeah, pretty miserable trip. So, got to the station, and the first thing I do after unloading my luggage is find a place selling Band-Aids, because again, I'm bleeding. Found one, and the lady was super nice and helpful. Showed me where the Band-Aids were, gave me antiseptic wipes so I could wipe off my finger, and then let me put on the Band-Aid in the shop. So, first set of kindness while in Amsterdam. Let's see. Okay, so I got that done. So I have my fingers bandaged up, and leaving the station, from what I understand and read from the ticket, to leave the station, I would just need to scan the QR code, the same QR code that they scanned to let me on the train at the little gates, and it would let me out, and that wasn't happening. So, but luckily, yet another kind citizen of Amsterdam, I think they're from Amsterdam, um, uh, saw me frustrated, saw my troubles, and was able to like swipe me in. They took their app or whatever and let me in. So thanks to them, because otherwise I have no clue what I would have done because I didn't see any like train station attendants around. So, but yeah, thanks to that young man. So I get out of the station and type in the map to get the directions to the hotel. Now, normally I've just been walking to the hotels because it's like a nice walk, you know what I mean? This one was a longer walk, but when I originally pulled it up when planning the trip, like it was along like the water's edge kind of thing, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, it'd be a nice like stroll, you know what I mean? It was longer than the other ones, but I thought it would be nicer because Amsterdam is known for having nice like walkable paths and bike lanes and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what, let me try that. And so, cool, the same distance and directions as I originally planned for came up. Good. And I thought it'd be a nice stroll to take in the sights. But what I didn't factor in was the luggage I would be lugging along. And yeah, that makes all the world of a difference. It was a long hike. Like I felt every minute of that trip. And but I made it to the hotel. I was given some wrong information at where I originally came into the hotel about where to check in. I went to where they said, but was told that where I originally was where I needed to check into. So the thing is, there's two hotels like joined together, owned by the same company. So maybe the person didn't understand what I was asking them. So who knows? But checked in, got into my room, had a couple of meetings, and by the end of that, it was like 7 p.m. So I looked at some places nearby to eat and found a Thai spot. I walked out there, ordered my food, and found out they don't take credit cards. So cool, got it. Went to a supermarket that had an ATM, pulled out some money, went back, and paid for it. And then I walked back to the hotel. And when I got to my room, I realized that they didn't give me any utensils. Luckily, I still had the extra set I got from the flight over here. So there, I ate my food, which was pretty good. I got a chicken pad thai. And then while eating, I finally got to watch an episode of Atlanta season 3, where the characters are touring Europe. While touring Europe. So that was pretty cool. That was like a small goal I made for myself when coming out here. So because I finished rewatching season 2 on the train ride into Amsterdam. It was a good distraction from all like the horrible things that were happening during the trip. Cool. After eating, I went through my workshop slides again and made some final changes. Also started filling out the slides for my talk based on the feedback from my coworkers earlier. And I was so tired from the day, like I kept falling asleep while working. Decided to call a night pretty late once I got a good amount of my talk slides done, which is why I'm recording this retrospective the next morning from a beanbag chair. Where my view, by the way, I forgot to mention, is like another like, I guess like a workspace, like an office park. So like people working can like look into my room if I had these blinds open. Again, not your traditional, I guess, hotel. I don't know. I've never had this before, so interesting. A new experience. Yeah, so that's it. Let's get into start doing. I really need to start checking for how long it would take to walk to places and factor any items I may be carrying at the time, because it was a very long walk. And I was super scared because, again, along the water's edge, right, I was sure that something would have fallen out of like one of my bags and like just went right into the water, gone forever. But luckily it didn't happen, so fingers crossed on the way back. I'm probably just gonna take like a ride, some sort of like car back to the train station, because yeah, lessons learned. It's okay. So that was our doing. Stop doing. Trading my seat with people because, wow. Keep doing. Sharing stuff I'm working on to get feedback. The feedback I got from my coworkers on my slides really helped me focus on what's important and the message I want to get across since I have a limited amount of time. It's not like workshops where I have like hours to get a point across. So, and now shout outs. Shout outs to the lady at the shop where I bought the Band-Aids for being so nice and helpful in getting myself cleaned up. Shout outs to the young man that helped me get out of the station. Shout outs to my coworkers who helped me kind of fine tune my talk that I'll be giving. And yeah, with that, I'm out. Got a workshop to do and a presentation to finish up. I'm going to see if I can get some breakfast before a couple of meetings. And then plus there's a speaker's dinner tonight. So it's going to be a busy day. We'll talk about it in the next retrospective. So until then, peace.